The last hour we understood how to write our first program. So let us understand once again, the first statement of your program is include stdio.h. This statement is a required for all the program where you are going to use the reading statement and as well as the printing statement, for which you require stdio.h standard input output header file. Then your program starts with entry to your program starts with the keyword main, and then inside the flower bracket, the begin and end, you are going to write all our instruction. That is how this program you understood in the last hour. Let us move on to understand little bit complex programs and whatever it is required for the coming examples. So the header files, as you observed, with all .ah as the extension, your program is stored with .c as the extension. That is the observation you have made in the last hour. The entry to your program through the main as the keyword. So through which we will enter into write instruction within the main loop. So along with this main, we are going to use one of the keyword that is called int or void. That is the observation you have made in the previous class. That is int refers to your main program is going to return the integer value. If you are not returning any value, then you are going to use the keyword void. This is how the main program you understood. And the comment lines. So the comment lines starts with any line which starts with slashes, and whatever the line you are going to write, that is usually called as the comments line. If you want multiple lines to be made as a comment, then you are going to use slash with a star, end with a star with a slash. All these lines will be taken as a comment. This is what we observed. The printf is the statement used to print whatever the data onto the output screen. So here you used the printf statement in our previous program. So the message which you are going to put inside the double quotes, and the variables are the data that is to be printed in the place where we want. So there are varieties of data that we have observed in the last class. That is, it may be an integer data, it may be a floating point data, or it may be a character, for which you have to specify the corresponding control string. So you have shown in the last hour, that is S is used for to print the string, C is used to print a single character, D is used to integer value, F is used for a floating point value. So this is the 4 characters which are very control strings which are essential to print all the variables. So this is the first second program you understood in how to print a number. So here you have used a number 10. If you observe, this variable is of type, you declare it as integer variable. In the printf statement, along with the messages, %d position, you are going to print the corresponding value. That's why here used the control string as %d, because it is an integer variable. If this variable is of type float, then you would have used %f. This is how our journey of writing a program starts. Let us understand one more very important statement that is required to read a number. In the previous program, you have assigned a value. You have not asked the user to enter a value. That is nothing but reading process, for which you are going to use a very important statement that is called scanf. Scanf means scanning the data. It is acts as a function. Almost you are going to observe along with this scan f. It is a function for reading a variable or a data from the keyboard. So as similar to previous program, it starts with include stdio.h. This is a pre-processive directive statement. The main, it is returning integer, that's why int main, and then you are declaring the number variable as integer type. Here you are using a printf statement, enter a number, it is acts as a message. In the output, this message will come, then the user will enter the corresponding number. Now when he enters, we should take the data to that variable, for which you require the statement scanf. Inside the brackets, that is colons, double colon, so you are using %d. It is refers to the control string per integer variable. That's why you are going to use %d and then use a number. But one observation you have to make, along with the number you are introducing one extra symbol here, that is ampersand symbol and symbol. So this is blindly you take now for all the variables of integer and as well as the floating, we are going to assign the ampersand symbol. Later you will understand what is the meaning of this. This is for curiosity, I will tell, this is refers to the memory location where exactly this number is stored in the memory. So this for all the variable you will associate the ampersand symbol to say that one you store in the location where this number is present. So when you read this, next statement is to print that number whatever you read, for which you have used printf number, return 0. How this program works, when you in your Turbo C, if you press Ctrl F9, it compiles and run and a message will come. You observe this output, enter a number. Then if you type the corresponding number 4, then in the output we will get the output is number is 4, because you have typed as number is in this position, whatever the number you are read, that will be get printed. So the journey of reading any variable is done through the scanf statement. So this is how your input and output statements, which are essential for any program. It starts with the function printf for printing the output, scanf for reading the input. That is the scanf and printf. In order to use this in the header file, you are going to use stdio.h. So here once again I will refresh it. %C is used for character, to read a character. %D is used to read an integer format specifier. %F floating point number to be read. %S string. String is nothing but group of character, we call it as a string. These are the 4 essential format specifiers you are going to use in all our next programs. You remember these 4 control strings for next program. So now we will once again refresh what is our input statement, that is scanf. In the double quote, if you observe, %D used because A is of type integer, and along with this you are going to use a symbol ampersand. Get an integer value from the user and store in under the name the variable A. That is the meaning of scanf. Next, similarly, to print this variable, you are going to use %D A. One observation you have to make here is, while reading you are going to use ampersand, while printing we will not use it. So this is observation as you should remember always. Prints the value present in the variable A on the output screen. This is how the input output statement works. So now a clear cut program in order to read 2 integers and prints their sum. There are 2 numbers, you have to read it and then you have to print the sum of these 2 values. So let us understand this program. Along with me, let us write on the blackboard so that when you can start write your own program. Include stdio.h for all the program. This is essential. It is a pre-processive directive statement. Next, the main parenthesis, close parenthesis, main. Then the 2 variables you are using is, one is integer 1 and integer 2, or num1, num2. Like that you can declare any variable that you want. And these 2 variables you are going to read it and you are going to assign this sum value to another variable. I declared this as sum. So you are declaring all these 3 variables of type int. So that is the statement which is declaration statement. Next, printf is the statement to give a message to the user. That's why you are going to use a printf. Inside the double quote you are giving enter first integer. Here you are going to use /n, refers to new line character. I will come back once again what is the meaning of /n. If you don't use /n, what is the output? In this way, if you use /n, after this message printing, the control goes to the next line. Scanf %D ampersand integer 1. Observe this, integer 1 is of type int, hence you are going to assign the ampersand symbol to read the integer variable with a control string %D. Next statement, to read the second variable, that is enter second integer, that is integer 2, you are assigning to the %D. The same scanf statement helps. Now you have read the 2 datas that is required to be add these 2 data and assign to some variable. This is our simple statement as similar to our mathematics. Now integer 1 value and integer 2 value, both you are adding and assigning this value to the variable sum. So now you got the result sum. Now you should be printed onto the output using printf statement. In the double quote, the message will be given along with the control string %d because sum is also of type integer. So put a comma, put sum. So this is sum is 0, return 0. It is, these are the statements which are essential for all our program. When you run this program in the Turbo C environment, press Ctrl F9. In the output, you will get first the message, enter the first integer. Here it waits until you give the cursor wait in the next line because you have used the escape sequence character /n here. It will goes to the next line and waits, blinks here. When you type any number, say 45, when you press enter, the 45 is get assigned to the variable integer 1. And next, enter the second number. When you type 72, 72 is assigned to the integer 2. These two statements are over. Now these two statements are added and the result is available in the sum. When the control comes to this statement to be get executed, it displays sum is 117, and here the result 117 will be get displayed. This is how a simple program of adding two numbers will helps you to understand to write your own program. You also observed so many very interesting data types here. Some of them acts as integer variable, float variable, double variable, character. These are all the basic data types are the variables that can take this type of data to our programs are required. That's why these variables can take these basic data types. In the coming classes, you will understand another interesting data type that is called enumerated data type, pointer data type, array data type, structure, union, all are derived data types from the process we will use it. So void is also of type, it does not have any value. So this is how in the previous program you have observed many integer 1, integer 2, sum, all these are what we call it as a variable because it changes during the execution. A variable is a quantity, it changes its value during the execution. That's why in the declaration statement you declare it as A is of type int semicolon. So you can assign a value to a variable using assignment statement A is equal to 10. So whenever you can also change the value of A because A is equal to A plus 1 refers to whatever the old value of A is there. Old value before this statement is 10. For 10, 1 is added and becomes 11. That is nothing but it is incrementing value. A is equal to A plus 1 refers to old value of A is added with 1. The new value of A becomes 11. So this is the usage of changing the variable declaration, definition and usage. In this way the variables are used in all the program. The definition of a variable is a quantity which changes during the execution is called what we call it as a variable. How to declare this variable in the program? So you may notice the some of the rules and regulations which are required to declare a variable names in the programming. It should not be a reserved word like main, int, float. Your variable should not be of this category. It should not start with underscore. That is the second rule. Can contain letters, numbers and or underscore in the next session. Always you should start with a character, later it may contains number or underscore. Example, customer name. You observe this, starts with a character, any number of character, underscore name, SS underscore number. These are all specific. SS, it is a type of variable you can assign, whether it may be integer variable or a floating type variable, depends on our requirement in the program. Instead of declaring this variable, sometimes we will declare CN, CS, SS. So this is only a programmer can understand, others cannot understand what is the purpose for which this variable is declared. So a better you use a bigger one. For the time being, for the initial stages, you can use short form of declaring a variable through a short 2 or 3 characters, so that when your journey of writing program will become easier. No other special characters are allowed including the space in the variable. It should be a continuous, there should not be a space or anything as such. So here in the C you should be very careful, it is a case sensitive. A say variable capital A and small a, they are different, they will not be treated as the same variable, that is why it is a case sensitive programming. So it represents storage unit in a program. It is used to store or retrieve the data over a life of program. A type of variable determines what can be placed into it. For example, a variable can be integer type, integer data can be stored. Float, floating type data can be stored. Float refers to a decimal number. The assignment is used to assign some value to this variable through equal to sign. A variable must be declared before usage of this in the programming. These are all some of the things you should always remember. There are two words which you should be remember in our programming. One is variable, another one is constant. A value that is going to assign to a variable, it changes, whereas a constant is a value, it remains constant throughout your program. Let us understand these things in a little bit example. In this example you observe int a comma b comma c. In the single statement you have used many variables separated by a comma. All these statements are end with a semicolon. This line is over, that is the declaration. You have declared one more variable, float d semicolon, refers to d is of type floating variable, abc of type integer variable. So this is all variable must be declared in the C program before the next statement, that is what we call it as executable statements. So this is how to assign a variable. B is assigned with 2.12 because here B is of type float. C is equal to 200 because C is assigned with integer variable. So this is how you are going to assign any value to this variable through assignment operator, that is equal to sign. So there are, you observe some of the variable and some of the constant and some of them are built-in keywords. These are all the observation I made in the previous program. Let us understand all these things in a word token. A token is a sequence of one or more character that is significant as a group. Some of them what we call it as a keywords. It cannot be used as a variable. These are all essential for the programmer while writing a program. For example, you want to calculate sign value of a variable, cos value, square root of value, main, int. These are all what we call it as a keywords. Identifier are a variable that you are going to declare in the variable. You use this variable for our calculation. Constants, string literals, operators in plus, minus, star, slash, these are all arithmetic operator and some of the separators. So these are all the varieties of tokens that you can observe in a programming. So what are all these things? A keyword is a reserved words. Identifiers are the names given to a variable. Say example int a comma b comma c. A, b, c are called as identifier or the variables. Constant a equal to 10. 10 is a constant. So the constant may be integer or it may be floating or it may be a character. Some of the operators you will use are arithmetic operators, relational operators and some very specific operator, logical operator. For logical decision making we will use the symbols. Some of them are separator. All statement in C end with a semicolon. Comments line, white spaces, these are all comes under the category what we call it as separator. Like that the tokens are divided into these categories and which will be useful. So I observed an interesting statement in the last program, that is int a. So this data type takes what is the minimum number and a maximum number and in this variable can take. That is what we usually called as storage representation and the range of these values. It depends on the machine. Some machine is a 16-bit machine, then you are having a range is different from 32. Let us understand with respect to the table gives the detail about the storage size and each basic data type in a 16-bit processor. Each CPU is having its own number of bits it can support. If it is supports 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit like that. So, assuming that your machine is supporting 16-bit, then the range is like this. The character data A, B, C, T, whatever the character, each and every character, it is stored in the memory with the help of one of the coded representation. What we understood in the last hour is ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. This code takes one byte, that is 8 bits. It range value is from -128 to 127 if it is a signed. Unsigned means you cannot represent negative values. So, then the range will be increased to double. You observe this -128 to 127 is one sign 255, but you do not have a negative value, then 0 to 255 is the range when it is unsigned. It is not having sign value. So, you can understand better using in integer data type. In the integer data type int, it takes 2 bytes, totally 16. The possibility of this range will be from -32,768 to 32,765. That is the even a value, a variable can take from minimum this value to maximum 32,767. That is signed. If you want to declare this integer variable unsigned, then automatically the value will be from zeros to 65,535, that is 2 to the power of 16. So, in short form we call it as 64K, 64 kilobytes. Its correct value will be 65,535. This is the integer range. If you declare a floating type variable, then its range will be from, it takes 4 bytes, 3.4 into e to the power of -38 to 3.4 e to the power of plus 38. This is the range of value you can assign to a variable of type float. If it is double, this value will be get double, that is 1.7 into e to the power of -308 to 1.7 e to the power of plus 308. This, you remember this range of values, because while reading any value it should be within the range, otherwise it cannot take that value with respect to the corresponding processor that you are going to use for programming. So, refresh once again, the data types that you used in your programming comes under the primary data types: int, float, character. Int variable may be signed or unsigned, it may takes 2 or 4 bytes of data. Character, it takes 1 byte. Float, it may float variable, it may be double or float, use it to use decimal number in the system. Some you will understand in the later class the user defined. You can also define your own way of representing the data, that is what we call it as user defined concept. Using a type definition statement, we will use it in the coming classes. You will understand it better this part of the study. So, constant, second, you understood up to now what is a variable. Now, we will move on to a constant. A constant is a quantity whose value cannot be changed during the program execution. C supports integer value, constant, floating, character, and enumeration constants are also available in the C. So, observe this, a representation of a signed integer is 2 or 4 or 8 bytes, it depends upon the 16 or 32 or 64 bit machine. Precise size is machine dependent. It is number that has an integer value. Example, 5 is integer value, 125 is integer constant. So, like that, you want floating point data, then we are going to use in the program 453.678. This is a constant value you are assigning to a variable of type float. The general format will be DDD, that is the digit, dot, digits, e to the power of plus or minus dd. This is the standard. You can use the exponential part whenever it is required in your programming. So, this is how a floating constant. A character constant is always assigned with a quote. Observe, any variable you declare it as character, you want to assign a character constant to that variable using single quote. Whatever the data you type, this acts as a value assigned to the corresponding character type. This is how a character within a single quote may be any character which is specified inside the single quote that can be used for a character constant. Note, now you have understood so many statements. Using this statement you can write your own programming. All statements end with a semicolon. In C, after writing every line, you should end with a semicolon. Commas separate multiple declaration, int a comma b comma c. So variable a is also integer type, b is also type integer, like that commas separate multiple declaration. Blank lines have no effect in the programming. You can leave any number of blanks in the program, it has no effect. Extra spaces between the tokens has no effect. So comments are ignored by the compiler. These are all the observations you should know before writing your program. So in the program you observed, I used /n. So these sequence are called as escape character. Some special character are not visible directly in the output stream. These all begin with a sequence called escape character /. That is the symbol you observe. /n refers to go to the next line. /t refers to eight spaces, that is horizontal tab. You want bell alert, use /a. Vertically you want to move /v. Like that, these are all the essential escape character we will use in our programming while writing the statement. Many times you will use /n, /t. These two are very essential for all your program to display your output in a systematic fashion. So use this invisible character in your programming. Now you understood the reading statement and some of the very definitions which are required, such as variable, constant and some escape characters. So now you require any computation statement to be written, for which you require an operators. So some of the operators are arithmetical operators for doing arithmetic calculation, plus, minus, star, /. These are all arithmetic operator for addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So along with arithmetic you require conditions, bitwise operator, relational operator, for example less than, greater than or equal to, all these are all relational between any two operands, logical operator, assignment operators, increment and decrement operators and special operator. These are all the various categories under which you are going to understand all your statement for your programming. Let us first the arithmetic. Integer arithmetic, real arithmetic, mixed mode arithmetic. Whereas if you want to do only integer calculation, you use integer. Sometime you will use floating type variable, real arithmetic. First one, integer arithmetic. Say if you say a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 4, both a and b are type integer variable. Now you want to subtract, you will get 6 as the result. Add 14, division will get 2. 10 divided by 4, actually it is 2.8. The value will be assigned to an integer variable. Whatever the decimal part you got, that will be discarded and only the 2 is assigned to a/b. This is a very interesting operator, mod operator, that gives the remainder part of it. That is 10 divided by 4, it results in 2.2. When you use a/b, the value 2 will be assigned. A mod b, here percentage symbol it is, actually it is used as a mod, that is remainder part. 10 divided by 4 result in the remainder 2 that is assigned. So this is how these arithmetic operators which are used in our programming. Next, real arithmetic. If you observe, if x and y are of type floating type variable, when you use x is equal to 6.0 divided by 7.0, 6.0 divided by 7.0. The value is assigned as 0.857143 is assigned to x. Similarly, minus 2.0, 3.0, the computation of this result minus 0.66 is assigned to variable. Now these two variable of type float. So real operator is known as arithmetic operator. So sometime you require one data of type integer, another data of type real. 19 divided by 10.0, the actually its value is 1.9. If you assign this value to integer, you will get only 1, not 0.9. If you assign this value to a floating type variable, you will get its complete value 1.9. C supports this mixed mode of operation in the instruction. One of the operand is real and another may be integer. That's what we call it as mixed mode. Assignment operator, you observe equal to sign is used. Whatever the operators equal to sign, whatever the expression which comes, your expression value are assigned to a LHS symbol. X equal to A plus B. In addition, C has a set of shorthand assignment through which we can also assign the values. So these are all some beginning program. Up to now we have understood so many statements. Using these statements, let us write a simple program to calculate the area of a triangle. So when you want to start your programming through area of a triangle, user has to give the length. Length value should be given. The next one is breadth. Instead of declaring the variable length, I used a variable of type L. Another one is B. When user gives these two values, I can use the area formula, area are equal to length into breadth. Now you have to develop a program. Automatically whenever the user gives these two numbers, you should print this value. So the programming starts like this. As you observe, the first statement in your programming is /include stdio.h, standard input output header file. That is the first statement of your program. Next, main, entry point to your program, open bracket, close bracket, return data type. There is a space is required here. You can use int or void, whichever it is convenient, you can use at this juncture. Begin. Next, you require two variables, that is the declaration statement. You can use it as L or B or LEN, B or E. These like this you can declare the variable. These two of type, let us assume of type integer. You will give only integer value. Each line end with a semicolon. That is how it declared. Now after the multiplication of this variable, you have to assign to another variable area. You can attach one more variable area. While declaring a variable, you have to follow the rules and regulation. The first one is, first character should be alphabet. From the second character onwards, it may be an alphabet or a digit. Like that, you can use the variable declaration rules, end with semicolon. Next, first let us ask for the user to enter the value of length using printf statement in the double quote. Enter the value of length, double quote. If you use /n, the control goes to the new line, end, put a semicolon. Next, you have to read it by making use of the statement scanf. All statements should be small letters. Scanf %d, because the variable len is of type integer, put a comma, len. Remember, while reading, you have to use ampersand symbol to store that value in the corresponding memory location, put semicolon. Next, you have to read the second value by making use of this statement printf, enter the breadth, /n. If you use /n, the control goes to the next line and reads its value. Scanf %d. This is also %d because it is of type integer. Now you are reading that variable and you have to assign ampersand. So reading process is over. Now you have to do computation. The computation statement is area equal to len is the variable that is used for len, and bre is the variable used to take the breadth value, and these two are computed. That is the expression you are assigning to variable area, and this area variable is now you have to print on the output. It is also of type integer, hence we will use printf statement to print its value. Printf area of triangle equal to, this message will be printed as it is. Now you print in this position, we will use the control string here, put comma and print the corresponding variable. Area is the variable where this Okay. Your result is available, this value will be printed in this position and put a, there is no ampersand symbol here, you observe this. So, after this statement you use return 0 because here used int in the main int. Close this. After typing this program in the Turbo C environment, you press Control key and F9 key, it start running. Because of this statement, you will get a message in the output, enter the value length. Here the control will not wait here, it waits here because you used /n as the escape character. Then when you type here the value 4 and then you press enter key, then the second statement enter the breadth. Because of the /n, once again it will be wait in this position. When you type 3 and press enter, then the message area of triangle will be get displayed, area of triangle. Here per equal to, it will print 12. If you want to see this result, you have to press Alt key and F5. In order to avoid this, as I given in the last hour, you can introduce one statement, that is get ch. It is until you press a character, this result will be available on the screen. When you use this statement, you include one more include statement you introduce to your program, include conio.h, that is console input output header file. So, this is how you written your first program to get your result. If you want to make all these variable of type float, then the changes that should be done is instead of int, you have to use float. Here instead of %d, you have to use %f, %f. This is the changes that you have to do. Remaining things follows. Now you can give 4.3, it will take 3.2, it will take the multiplication of this results in the corresponding decimal value that will be get displayed. In this way, you can change to any data type. The changes to be made is the control strings and the corresponding values. So, this is the writing skill of a first program. Let us write one more program so that one you will be comfortable to understand. Area of a circle. When you want to write the area of a circle, you know the formula of area of a circle is pi r square. This is how in mathematics it is written, area. Computer cannot understand this symbol because this is not a allowable character in our system. Instead of using this symbol, you can assign its value like that by making use of a one more pre-processive directive statement, that is define. After define, instead of symbol pi, here I am going to use pi. That is just a variable type declaration, but where it is a constant I am assigning without equal to sign, that is 3.1. In the programming, instead of using 3.1, in that place I can use pi, that is the value is constant. So, similar to your previous program starts with main, here int r, the radius of a circle for which you declared this variable, float area, because here I used the area of type float because when the radius is integer get multiplied with 3.4, always you will get the floating value. So, float area, the message enter the radius of the circle. So, you have to read the radius of the circle by making use of scanf statement with a control string %d or, that is ampersand symbol associated to it, because you are reading that variable and assigning the memory location where r is stored. Then the computation statement area is equal to pi r square, multiplication symbol here is star. Star is used instead of writing r square. Now you are not taught how to write the square of that variable. You can rewrite r square as r into r. Pi, the value of pi you assigned in your define statement 3.14, that will be taken r into r. whatever the value I given, that get multiplied, and slash n, because it will print in the next line area of circle percentage f, the area is printed, return 0 because main is associated with the return type integer. You can also use here the void. This is the output that you can observe here. Enter the radius of the circle. When user press 5 and press enter, the message will come, area of circle is 78.5 because it is a floating point data. Now you can include any number of such computation statement in your programming, and you can write your own interesting program. Now little bit one more statement here. You want to calculate along with the area the perimeter of a circle. What are the changes? Pi, you have defined it as 3.14. In pi values, you just use the variable pi instead of 3.14 using pre-declarative statement, that is defined statement. Here in the float area declaration, along with this I put a comma and peri. Peri is a variable of type float and stores the value of a perimeter of a circle. Printf, enter the radius of the circle, use scanf statement to take that radius. Area pi r square is the formula pi into r into r. This is how a mathematical statement is converted into a form of programming statement. This is the differences that you have to observe from your mathematics statement, the form of programming. Perimeter 2 pi r is the formula, 2 into pi into r semicolon. The calculation part is over. Next, area of circle equal to percentage f. In this position the area is printed. Slash n, because of slash n the next line will be printed in the next line. Perimeter of a circle equal to, because the perimeter of a circle percentage f, the value is printed in this position 25.12, return 0. So this is how to write using the whatever the instruction that what you have learned. Little bit some more interesting program, how to calculate the interest in a bank, that is simple interest calculation. You are all familiar with the formula PTR divided by 100, that is principal amount, the rate, the time divided by 100 gives the interest value. User has to give what is the principal amount, what is the time duration you want to you want to load it, and as well as the rate of interest. These are the quantities which are required. So let us start our programming. Same as int p, the principal amount I am taking a integer value instead of a floating value, whereas the rate of interest, the time period you want to invest, the interest calculation, total. These are all the variables you have declared of type float. Printf, enter the principal amount, scanf ampersand p. Here I use it percentage d because p is of type integer. Now we will enter the value 1000. This is the message you will get in the output. Whenever user press 1000, this 1000 is assigned to the variable p. Next, printf, enter the rate of interest and time period. Whenever this message comes here, 10.020. Actually here you have to use slash n, then only you can see, you can enter the value. 10.0 will be placed in the next line. Otherwise also you can, when you press enter, the 10 is get assigned to the variable r. Next value whatever you assign, that is assigned to 20. Here there are two ways. After 10.0 after typing this, use one space and type 20. The first value will be assigned to the first variable, second value will be assigned to the second variable. Even though you are given 20, it is of type float, it will take it as 20.0 to this variable because it is of type floating. So that is how it automatically adjusts, and after taking these three data from the user, it does the calculation of the interest using the same formula PRT divided by 100, P into R into T. The computation of this you have put in the bracket and divide by 100, and here you observe if you don't use bracket, the whatever the way in which the computation to done, it will be mismatched. That we will understand in the next slides, how the computation maintains the precedency rule of hierarchy rule with respect to any formulas that you are going to use. The interest is equal to PRT by 100. Next, the total calculation, whatever the principal amount you have taken for which the interest is added, p plus interest result in the total value. Now you got your values that should be printed in the output using printf statement. Interest amount equal to percentage f. In this position, whatever the first variable is there, that value will be get displayed in this position. Next, total amount equal to percentage f. The total value is get displayed here. That is how you will get interest amount, and this will be in total amount is printed in the next line because I used here slash n. That is the meaning of going to the next line using a escape sequence, that is new line character. So next it will print the total amount, return 0. So this is how a simple calculative statements that can be used in your programming. Now you are able to write very simple programs in your program. Now the complex program starts. There are so many mathematics are there. So many equations are there, sin theta, cos theta, square, exponential function. So many functions which are required in our programming exercise to be learned. So just I give an example. Program to check the given number is positive or a negative number. Yeah, now you entered a number, whether you want to know whether it is a positive number or a negative number. If user -5 if you entered, you should print you are given negative number. Like that you have to take some decision making. You will enter 3 numbers, say A, B, C. You will give values to A as 10, 20, 30. You should print which is the biggest number among these 2 numbers. So A, B, C. You are given the values of A is 10 and B is 20. You want to exchange the value of B to A and A to B. So like that you want to swap, while after when you print the values of A, B, the initial value is exchanged in these 2 values. How to manage all these different varieties of programming principle into our understanding purpose. You require some more little bit complex statements which are required in the programming. For all these things, if you observe, you require these header files, the mathematical calculation if you want to do, that is as I given sin theta, square root function, cos value, logarithmic value, power function. These if you want to use, you require a library called math.h, that is mathematical.h header file that is required in the program, math.h. A library facility are usually provided in the language to keep the language simple and make your calculation as simple as possible. That is, you have to know along with your stdio.h, conio.h, you include one more header file, that is math.h. You can use all our mathematical function into this. So some of them are given. For input output facility used stdio.h, where inside this header file scanf, printf, getS function, putS function, which are all written. In mathematical operation function which are written, square root function, sin function, cos, logarithmic, power, there are so many such functions you can directly use in your programming. You want to use string manipulation, you want to concat 2 string or copy the value name of one data to another data, then you can use strcpy, string copy, strcat, string cat, concatenation, length of the given string. Like that you can use. When you understand string chapter, you will understand how you can use this function. Another one is console input output using conio.h, we already used get ch function. So this is console input output header file. Like that math library helps in our programming to do so many calculation. So this is all about mathematical library that makes to use all this mathematical function easier in our programming to do all our calculation. Let us understand its principle of usage in the next hour, including math.head. This is a header file, gives the mathematical library, trigonometry, logarithmic and exponential function that can be used.